Alright guys, it's Drek, and I've got a ton of information in this video. It explains a few things, including new ways to contact me, what's kind of going on with my studio. Those last two videos were filmed on my bed, and there's a reason for that. It's taken me a while to set up my studio. First off, let's start with the contest at DragonCon. There was a bit of a hiccup in that I was working at DragonCon, so it was hard for people to find me. I held up to my end of the bargain. I wore the radioactive Maverick at all times, except for when I was in costume. And I saw a few fans, but they didn't recognize me. Now, eventually, 3 days into the convention, I needed a ride after the Crook Shadows concert, which was incredible. So I thought about it, and I ended up calling Bobalolo. You guys remember Bobalolo from my last promotions video. He also lives in Georgia, and I called him up and he gave me a ride, which was a big help, so I'm going to thank him. And in the process of giving me a ride, he found me and shot me, so Bobalolo wins the commission. I know what I'm going to make him. It's going to be really cool, and you're going to have to wait for that video, but it will be a Maverick, because I love working with Mavericks. That brings me to my next point. Nerfomania and I went thrift store hunting right after the con before I drove back to my college. And I found some good stuff. I found an old disc shot, not an Element, a disc shot, that was $1. I found a tech target that shoots megas, that was $1. Then I found a Maverick for 60 cents. Don't ask me why the Maverick was 60 cents and the others were $1. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Anyway, I've started setting up my new studio. This is sort of how all my videos are going to be done from now on. If I figure out a better way to do it, or you guys have any suggestions, please feel free to leave those. I have a lamp here that I've installed on this new work table. Let me know if you like that lighting better than the way that the lighting is done right now, but I don't really have a preference. I think the video works fine either way. I do want to make a quick point of saying that I'm very jealous of Coop and Ice and Make It Go and K&D Operative, because they either have a studio at their parents' house or they're young enough that they still live at home. It makes a huge difference having that permanent studio where you can just have a work table and everything set up. I move every 3 to 6 months or so because that's kind of the life of a college guy. You're a nomad. So it's tricky for me, and I have these lapses where I try and build up backlog, but what's happened over the last few weeks is that while I was moving, I had no studio and it was very hard to film, and I exhausted my backlog, and that's just what happened. Anyway, I wish I had a permanent studio, but I don't. Hopefully I get to keep this one for a little while and I can get set up and start cranking out more mods. I'm working on a Supermax 1500 right now that should turn out really nice. The other thing I wanted to mention, and the reason that the radioactive Maverick is on the table, is because a while ago I challenged you guys, the viewers, to replicate my radioactive Maverick, and 3 or 4 of you sent me emails saying that you'd done so. And your radioactive Mavericks all looked very good. They were almost exact copies, but you didn't do the LED mod, and the LEDs on the radioactive Maverick are what make it really cool and really unique. And that kind of bothered me that you thought you'd replicated it when you didn't do the thing that makes it awesome. I gotta bend over now and grab my card. For those of you that are wondering, I do script my videos in advance. The other thing I wanted to talk about is Jerm. Congratulations. I author on his blog, and I'm a big fan of his work. He had his big 300th video on YouTube, and he showed his face. Now, a ton of my viewers bugged me about how because Jerm showed his face, it was time for me to show mine. I like being anonymous. I feel like I have a right to my privacy just like everybody else, and if I do it, it's going to be on my terms, not because Jerm showed his face. So, congratulations to him, and that has nothing to do with me. The other thing I want to address is I've gotten a ton of messages about Coop's, I guess, joke video, his most recent thing where he makes fun of everybody, including himself, and everybody wants me to make a response getting back at him or some other nonsense. The fact of the matter is I don't care. If you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at? And to respond would only continue to create more flaming, and I feel like I'm a little more mature than that, so we're going to ignore that entirely. It was funny, though. Also, I still have that Night Mav commission that I'm working on. Again, I just finished sort of setting up my studio, so it's taking me a while. It's coming. If you're the commissioner for the Night Mav, please be patient with me, and I appreciate that. You're going to get some freebies. Also, speaking of commissions, I have a new way that we need to do commissions. I get roughly 200 to 220 emails through YouTube daily. And it used to work back when I was only getting 50, but you guys have to understand, I take a minute to answer each email. When you guys send me 200 emails, that's over 3 hours a day that I would have been spending answering your emails. Less when you consider that I ignore some of the silly ones like, can you make a fully automatic long shot out of a big bad bow? Like, there were some silly emails. The bottom line is, I will still answer the occasional question sent to my YouTube inbox, but I don't like doing commissions that way because you don't get a history of your email conversation with people, and it's fundamentally inferior to Gmail in that I can't see my entire conversation with clients. So from now on, if you want a commission, I want you to send your commission requests to my email, which is camden177@gmail.com. I need you to send them there, and that is where I will answer them. It's where we can talk about prices and what you want. It'll be a lot easier for you. It'll be a lot easier for me. I can respond from my phone, which I couldn't do with the YouTube messaging service. Everybody wins. That'll work out great. I am going to put that in an annotation, and hopefully everybody can follow that. If you don't follow that, I'm not going to respond to any commission requests in my inbox because, again, 3 hours a day dedicated to answering emails is too much, and I need a better way of doing it. The other thing that I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you kind of how my new studio is laid out. A lot of people have been asking me for an armory update, and while I'm not finished putting everything up, I have finished putting up a good amount of things, and I'm going to show you what that looks like now. You can see here that these are a few of my older works on a pegboard I've installed in my new apartment. I've got the old Doom Whisper HVZ quad shot, the Shark Fang, that pistol I made out of a Scout, the Castle for my Alucard cosplay, and the original Night Strike. Over here you can see that I'm working on some other stuff. I've got things I use often like the Praxis, the Spartan Shot, my HVZ Raider, which still needs some work, some of my primaries like the Snap and the Pump Snap, the battle rifle, a vintage blaster, another vintage blaster right there that I don't know what it is, the Fanger because it's still my favorite, my Tron Maverick, a few of my swords, the Praxis, and my Spectre, which is a really nice Spectre, but I don't talk about it often because I honestly don't know what I did that made it so nice. I'm thinking about selling the original Spartan Shot. It's in excellent condition. The paint hasn't been scratched or chipped anywhere, and it works just as well now as it did when I originally put it together. I'm going to give it a tune-up, re-grease things, and I'll list it on eBay soon, so be looking for that in the description box below of a later video. As always, thanks for watching, and if you were patient enough to sit through all of this and kind of hear all of my announcements, then I really appreciate it, and hopefully everything will be more streamlined from here on out. I can't wait to fill up this wall with all my other blasters.